Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about how these different schools determine your main structure, or as Joey Yap calls it, the main profile. What is the basic way that you naturally interact with the rest of the world? It is determined solely by your month pillar. Now there are sets of rules that govern the growth animals, the tiger, snake, monkey, and pig. They are the beginning of every season, beginning of spring, beginning of summer, beginning of autumn, and beginning of winter. And the cardinal animals, which are the 4 cardinal directions on the 24 mountain chart. The rabbits in the east, the horses in the south, roosters in the west, and the rat is in the north. These animals are very easy, very consistent. I haven't seen any consistency between any of the places where you can calculate your BaZi and find out what your main profile or main structure is. However, the rules for the storage or graveyard, some call them tomb, of the dragon, the goat, the dog, and the ox, these are the earth animals. And this is, if you remember correctly, your wealth element will be one, or your wealth animal will be one of these guys. Because this is the ground, this is where you bury things, this is where you can store stuff. And it's also, of course, the graveyard, because that's where we bury people. So it is very consistent in that way. Now, it may not be completely consistent from method to method, and it can get quite complicated. So the first 2/3 is easy. The last 1/3 is quite complicated. So for the easy 8-month branches, the main structure is the main chi of the month's hidden stem. Pretty easy. So I'm showing you the growth animals. We start with the tiger. This is the main chi of the tiger, which is yang wood. And it's as simple as that. For the snake, it'll be yang fire. For the monkey, it's yang metal. And for the pig, it's yang water. Now these are the strong elements of, actually probably the very strong elements of each of these seasons. And it doesn't matter that the snake is a yin, it still can have a yang main chi. And the same thing for the pig. So we don't care about the yin or yang, the polarity of the animal. All we care about is the polarity of the main chi. Now, it is completely possible that your month branch may be the only occurrence of whatever these animals are. And that's just the way it can be. Not a big deal. But this is one of the reasons why your main structure or main profile, and this can be consistent from group to group, that is method to method, it may not be your highest elemental level. And that may shock some people. And I was wondering about that myself. So here's an example of a date where your month branch is the only occurrence of a given element. So here we have, you can actually look this up, on a couple different sites. You can look up the state. The only yang wood we have in the entire chart is in the month. It's nowhere else. And the main structure or main profile here is considered yang wood. And if you do this on Joey Yap's site, it will list the yang wood at 64%, which is still higher than average, but not a lot higher. And there is others that are 75 and 83%. I'm assuming that they will be the yin earth, which we have 3 here, or the yang earth, which we have 3. And it's probably the yang earth that's the high one. So, and you can just stick this date in if you want to see if I'm correct. I don't remember the details, but just by looking at that, that's what I think it should be. So if we go to the cardinal animals, let's start with the rabbit. It has yin wood as its main chi. It only has one. The horse is yin fire. The rooster, yin metal. And the rat, yin water. And again, it's in the same order: wood, fire, metal, and water. And so these again are the strongest, the often called prosperous elements of these given seasons. Now, it again can be the only occurrence of a given element, but you could have more. If you have more than one occurrence of this element, it is likely to be your highest element. And you don't need a whole lot more to be quite high. So here's another example, another date. You can look it up. The main structure is yin fire because it's a horse month. And on Joey Yap's website, he listed at 98%, which is really, really high, potentially unhealthy high, but you would have to look at the whole chart to know whether or not this is really healthy or unhealthy, and I did not do that. Now, here's where it gets ugly. They are a lot more complex, and again, they may not be consistent from method to method. So here's a test you have to do to see whether or not you have at least some degree of certainty that you're getting the right one. So you look at the hidden stems in the month, and you can have up to 3. You may only have 1, but you can have up to 3, and see if any one of those elements appears in the heaven stem of the hour, month, or year. And you're supposed to ignore the day stem. I'm not sure that that is completely correct to do, or if everybody does that, but in general, they seem to. Now remember, the day's heaven stem is your day master. If you do have this, then your main structure is the one that does have that sort of pairing. Now you can have more than one pairing though. And if you have more than one, then it looks like the main chi, if you have a match with the main chi of your month's hidden stem with one of your heaven stems, that one would be it. But if they're both sub chi, it gets a little murky. It looks actually like the hour may come first, then the month, then the year. And again, they do seem to ignore the day. So I think that's relatively consistent, but I can't guarantee it. And if the answer is no to this, then you have to go to step 2, which is where the real problems or the real discrepancies occur. So this is actually my month and year of my BaZi. I am ox, so I have I would have by season, the water is strong. But I do have, with the year, I have this link. So this is determined, and everybody seems to agree on this, that for me, this is IW, indirect wealth, that is my main profile or main structure, depending on who's doing the analysis. It's the same thing, they just name it differently. So it passes, and it's consistent. Now, this idea here, if you remember, this looks like rooting, but it's not quite that way. I mean, this pillar is rooted, but this doesn't get rooted. The hidden stem doesn't get rooted. It just gets picked out as the one you want to say is the main profile. So, but it does have to have the same polarity. Now, if I happen to have been born the same day, a year before I was actually born, this would be the month and the year. And even though these are both earth elements, they're not the same. This year, heaven stem would be rooted relatively on the weaker side, but not too bad. But this does not meet the qualifications to pass test one. And if you stick this into Joey Yap's thing, which I'm not going to tell you my date of birth, but this is what he identifies. Yang, earth, is the main chi for this person. And this does not follow any of the rules that I was taught. So I don't know exactly how this was done. It probably is just it is actually the highest of all the elements. This one is the highest. So that's probably how it was done. But this is not any of the rules that I was taught. But this is the one where we would fail test one. So if you find that when you look at it, you do have one of the storage animals, the dog, the dragon, the goat, or the ox, as your month animal, and you have more than one hidden stem that matches one of your heaven stems, I would say you probably want to check several different BaZi calculators to see if they agree. Now, if they don't agree, that's not necessarily a problem. It means that you may have more than one avenue to pursue to become successful. It actually might be a good thing. And the choice is up to you, or you could use both. In theory, you could actually have maybe all three. But I think you're only going to have, you've only got two sub chis that you could match. If you've got the main chi that matches, I think that would qualify. And that would overrule the sub chi. Now, Joey Yap's site does not seem to obey these rules. But honestly, a lot of what he does is not exactly standard or traditional. He says he has enough experience that this works for him, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying he's different. And the nice thing is he puts it in a way that we can easily understand. Now, if it doesn't seem to be you at all, then maybe you want to look at a different method than he uses to determine what is the main chi. Now, this is where step 2 comes in. If test 1 fails, and only if test 1 fails, then it gets pretty murky. It seems like all bets are off, and it depends on what method is used to do this. And I don't know all the methods possible, but they can be quite different. Now, EC Metaphysics states to use the seasons element. Now, it looks like you have to use the yin version, as all the graveyard animals only have the yin version of their seasons element. So that is the only sane thing to do. So how do we know what this is? Well, this has to do with your Daymaster strength table. And so springtime is the tiger, the rabbit, and the dragon months. And the animal is the dragon. And this is, you know, it's at the end of the cycle. And that's why it's called the graveyard. And its very strong element would be wood. So if you have a wood Daymaster and you're born in the spring, you have a very strong Daymaster. The summer, this includes the snake, the horse, and the goat months. And of course, the fire, if that's summertime, this is the high level. So that's where you'll be very strong. And the autumn starts with the monkey, the rooster, and the dog. And so the dog's at the end, so it's the graveyard. And if you have a metal Daymaster, you're very strong. And the winter starts with the pig, and you also have the rat and the ox is at the end. So it's the one that stores basically water. Now again, only use this table if you fail test 1, or you don't have a graveyard animal as your your animal for the month. So here's an example. And this is where I say all bets seem to be off. You can check this with Joey app, and also, I don't know if you can check it with the BaZi calculator. I'm not sure that it does that, but I've checked it with the Chinese metaphysics website that I have a subscription to. So here, this is a dragon, and it says it's strong for wood. So this is going to be the by EC. This is what Joey Epp says, I think. Yes, he says it is the yin wood, and that in this case, because of this relationship, it is the IW, the indirect wealth. That's the main profile, and he lists this at 83%, quite high, even though this is the only pieces of the yin wood that's here. We do have water that really helps, although this isn't the best water for it, but we do have this water, we have this water. This is what it needs. So it's probably pretty strong. That's probably why it's considered to be quite strong. So the Chinese Metasoft site says that the main profile, they call it the main structure, is actually Yang Earth, which is basically looks like it follows the rules of the growth in the cardinal animals. And that is a little bit disconcerting, a little bit strange. But for me, they actually correctly pick out, for me, it's well, I forget what mine is, but it is, it's IW, whatever my IW is. And the EC metaphysics, by their method, would state it has to be this because this is the wood is really strong. And so two agree, and one really disagrees. Now, if test one fails, I would say it's basically unclear who is correct. However, it probably means you're going to exhibit at least one of the predicted main structures. You might exhibit both. And you probably will be able to determine just by knowing yourself which one you're closer to. Or you could use them both. Now, in this case, we have Yang, earth, and Yin, wood. Yin wood is very flexible, adaptable, and Yang, earth, is about the opposite. They tend to be quite stubborn. They dislike change. Yin wood loves change. I mean, this is very different than, they're very different people. Now, it's possible you could vacillate between the two, but one of them is going to be stronger. Because in this case, it was so different, you probably will know which one you are. But sometimes they're a lot closer in meaning, and maybe it's not so out there that you could have a real idea of what's going on, and you could actually use both. And that would be kind of nice, because if you have more than one path to success, that's better than just, only having one good way to do something, because that just gives you more versatility. But of course, this is a Yin-Wood Day Master talking, so I like change and like adaptability. So that's my point of view. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment or email me here. Thank you again.